What's up, everybody? Give me just a second. Let me put this over on my page real fast. And then we'll be good to go. Ooh, 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 ooh. I got a boo-boo. Alright, let's throw this one out of here. Throw my phone. Boom. Oops, threw it right into a wall. Oops, a daisy. This is Breaking the Cage. It is Astrology TV. It is for the week of June 26th through July 2nd. Wow, I can't even believe we're already in July. I just can't. Hold on, I'm lighting my incense here. I've been burning incense like crazy lately. I'm just like, no, I don't want to hear or feel or deal with any of that negativity that's out there. So, no. I've been burning my incense. Keep that funk away. I don't want anything to do with it. There's a lot going on. And I'm going to put this in my place here. Because there's a lot to talk about. Now, as we've been approaching the solstice energy and whatnot, Spirit kept telling me and giving me, directions towards us being a leader. And well, what really is a leader? I mean, when you think about it, what is a leader? But this, as we're starting to come into this next 6 month phase, we're still dealing with that. And like I was saying, it was last week I was speaking of, where people say, it's not my circus, it's not my monkeys. When does it become your monkeys? When is it that being a proper leader is standing and staying in the uncomfortable position and stepping forward and being like, no, this is not acceptable, and actually making the change? That's a lot of what you're going to be seeing over the next 6 months in your own personal individual lives. Spirit is giving it to me in a form of, it's like the extension of shadow work, or in a form from a shamanistic perspective, you're more in the hollow bone. And or even better, because they said this to me earlier today, it's kind of like if you've ever seen the Shawshank Redemption, and in the Shawshank Redemption, the movie, he's like, I was never a criminal until I went to prison. He was like, in prison, I learned how to be a criminal. And the whole point of that was, at the end of the movie, when he broke out of prison, he had to travel through a river of shit to come out clean on the other side. That's kind of what this hollow bone is, the extension of the shadow work. We're not in shadow work anymore. We're in new development of your own inner pioneering, is the way Spirit is explaining it to me. And I'm just going to give it to you the way it was given to me today, because it was such a beautiful thing. I'm standing there at my part-time job, and I'm talking to one of the girls I work with, my girlfriend, and they all know that I'm the shaman and that I do this stuff, and that I make these videos, and that this is my real desire of work. And I was like, I haven't even made a meme, like a little commercial or anything about tonight's show. I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. I was like, and it was as if Spirit was like, we've been waiting for you to say that. Because as soon as I said it, it was like bam, 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 bam. Synchronicity just on top of each other, boom, 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 coming in for me to understand what I was supposed to be talking about tonight. And it has a lot to do, in a weird way, because the way Spirit works and gives me my messages, a little bit of Quasimodo and what is it, the Hunchback of Notre Dame. As soon as I said that today, I'm at work, and this person walks in, and what put me in that direction, sorry, but that is the ego perspective, the human experience. I'm running a cashier where I work. Or I'm a cashier where I work. And as soon as I said that to this to this other employee that I'm working with that, I don't even know how to talk about tonight. Da, 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 da. This man walks in and he's hunchbacked. I mean, he looks like he would be in pain. And he's just like, all hunchbacked in a giant back. But the thing that I noticed, I have never seen somebody in the last 5 months so secure, so individually secure in exactly who he was and his power. He was the biggest form of light I've seen coming and beaming out of anybody in the longest time. He wasn't overly happy, but he was very happy in his own skin. He wasn't asking for a handout. He didn't want help with anything. He didn't want you to feel sorry for him. Hold on, I owe you like 35 more cents. Let me run out to the car and get it. And I was about, because every once in a while where we work, people leave change. I was about to be like, yeah, I got you. And he's like, no, let me go get it. He's like grabbing himself handfuls and stuff. And that's when I knew. I was like, I got you. And ever since then, I was hearing Quasimodo over and over and over and over again. And the next customer that came in, referring to me, I knew was speaking to me about my dreads. And they were like, I really, really dig that. That's so cool. But what he was saying about it, he was like, it's so cool. He was like, because when I look at you, what I'm feeling off of those dreads and that energy is, it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to let all of your awkwardness, all of your individual soul, funky, great, beautiful, all of it be seen. That is part of what I'm trying to talk about here. We are talking about our individual hemispheres, as well as understanding what these hemispheres are. When we look at astrology, there's 4 hemispheres. And technically in your body, there's the left and the right side, the left hemisphere, the right hemisphere. There's soul and ego, there's balance. There's coming to know yourself, coming to experience yourself. It is exploring the magic that is within you, but most importantly, we're doing it by understanding the borderlines. The borderlines. Where is the deal breakers? Where is the brick in the wall? Just another brick in the wall. Tying yourself away from everybody. That's the way society's made us feel. We're just a brick in the wall. We're behind the wall. We don't have any, we don't have any feelings. We're not anything. You'll just put up with society and you'll do as you're damn well told. No. But we have to experience what these bricks are. Why? This is why I called this show Maximum Exposure. Because that's what the next 6 months is. And it's starting now with this week. It is starting now with this week as we start getting into those personal hemispheres. And we're learning out what the borderlines are. And what I mean by borderlines is you will understand Saturn is rules, walls, and boundaries. Well, what are the lines? Where is the deal breaker? What made you allow that brick to stay in the freaking wall? We're setting the new horizon for our own inner pioneering, our own inner authenticity, our own inner soul self. And in order for us to get to it, they gave me Quasimodo. We're speaking about our personal energy, our hidden energy, our hidden selves. We're looking at where we're subjective to our own self. We're looking at our instinctual energy, our self-development, our independence, our development of our awareness of our own outer selves, as well as development of our awareness of humanity as a whole. Not just that person or this person. Remember, Quasimodo, depending on which story, was up in the cathedral tower and was there with the gargoyles or the bats as his only friend. And he saw the rest of the world as this amazing place that he couldn't be part of. I know a lot of you feel that way sometimes. You look out at somebody else's life or lives of others, and you're wanting things to be better than they are, but you're just not quite able to reach it. And this is part of your inner magic, learning how to conquer it, learning how to sustain and harness it. This is what I've always said. If you cannot harness, what is it? If you cannot control your inner chaos, you will never be able to harness and unleash your power. You have to understand that this is part of where we're going. We have to know ourselves on such a more magnificent level. How could you ever be authentic? How could you ever be source energy? How could you ever be just flawless in your awing until you know that awing? Because I have no better word of putting it. When you're just in awe so much, did you realize you are that powerful? I was watching some, because I'm trying to set up a Patreon account to start putting that out for people. And I was going back through some of my really, really old archives. And I'm talking about like from 2015. And I made a video which was talking about how powerful I was. And so are you. But off of the fact of I powerfully screwed myself. I was like in my everyday activity whining about, this, I gotta put up with this for just a little bit longer, I gotta do this just a little bit longer, I gotta work hard, I gotta pay my dues, gotta do this. Back when as I was really starting to come into my journey, and I was like, before I knew it, I had painfully made myself so sick by talking to myself in such a low vibrational way. That's awing when you realize, holy crap, I'm damning myself. That's when you start to learn of the power. And that's what I'm talking about. And we're in that Shawshank Redemption of walking through the hollow bone, and we're really pulling the bricks out of the wall and we're moving them around. And we're redeveloping our own personal pioneering by learning just how powerful you are and where you're doing it wrong and where we're in our inadequacy, where we're in our insecurity, where we are exactly like that man I was saying, are not comfortable in our skin. That's the borderlines. Why? Why are those borderlines there? And what are we looking at of redirecting? We've got to get past our uncomfortability. That's part of this part right now. The uncomfortability is part of that next line. We also have this week, as I start to get into the actual blueprint and I start to get into the actual astrology for this week, I want to remind you, Mercury is moving into Cancer. See, that has a lot to do with what I was just saying. Not to mention, I'm sorry, I was just reminded of this. Not to mention, I was also given Quasimodo and the Hunchback of Notre Dame for a reason. Because in that show, or that cartoon, you have, there will be no joy, there will be no dancing, there will be no fun, there will be no anything that is of pleasure versus the gypsies. The gypsies represent the gypsies represent us. The gypsies represent the resistance, the change. And we're showing that this is the way it should be and that it's good to be. Now go back to where I was. Mercury is moving into Cancer. That is your breastplate, more or less. your breastplate to protect your heart, a source energy, but it's also a communication energy. It's a communication of your inner emotional security. Mercury is communication. It's coming out of Gemini and going into Mercury, and this is going to bring a new conversational piece up within. As well as, and most of your astrologers never talk about Vista. Vista is the keys to unlocking the door, period. And it's moving out of Taurus and into Gemini, into communication. So this has everything to do with how you communicate. And like I've said a million times, when you're in your power, you don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to be threatening. You don't have to belittle. You don't have to push and shove. You put your foot down, that's the end of it. I have spoken. But you have to believe that you have spoken. You have to be in that awing, in that source part of you, that spark. And this is, like I said, the keys to unlocking the door has everything to do with how you are communicating. A lot of this has to do with fear. As I was starting this show tonight, Spirit was pointing out that there is a lot with the negative energies that have been coming out, with the Shaman resonance rising and dropping and rising and going through so much, and the designing of how it was written, as well as the solar flare energy that's been coming in, that you're still feeling all of this. So it takes a while for the body to just rejuvenate and handle everything that it's feeling. The negativity that's been coming out with that is putting on a lot of people some bitterness and blame. Really like pointing the finger. This is masculine energy. This has to do with action. This has to do with your logical and your practical and your material convincer side of you. Standing in that power, being convinced. This is why I often say Mars energy has a lot to do, sacral chakra energy has a lot to do, not just with the inner warrior, but your inner belly dancer. I don't care if you're the biggest, fattest sumo wrestler ever. If you feel good about you, then fuck them all, because you have a right to feel good about you. But you better mean it. You can be the thinnest, skinniest, anorexic, but if you are good and in your power and feeling good and restored, then of course you're being able to convince that inner warrior, that inner SWAT team, that inner source, that inner power, that inner action into this action. But when you're in a fearful place, a change, which is what a lot of us are going through, that brings up, the fear of actually taking action, not following through with action because of fear of desire, fear of what will happen, creating bitterness and blame and pointing fingers. That's not what we're wanting to be about, but it is acknowledging where it's part of those border lines and those bricks in the wall that we've placed so perfectly that we're comfortable in our own walls. The keys, Vista, has moved into communication. It all has to do with how you talk to yourself. I will say a million times, your daily activities, your mundane tasks, your people, places, and things, the things that you overlook. That's why it's mundane. It's mundane because you do it so repetitively that you don't realize how important it is. It's the biggest part of your manifestation. How you talk and treat yourself is food. And it's food for your vibration. And a lot of us need to realize, I've spoken to a million people and my clients and so forth who tell me how I'm a positive person. Really now. But within 5 minutes of talking to them, they're bitching about this. And I'm like, but you're a positive person. Making sure you're truly seeing, like I said, the hemisphere here. The logic here, the action here, what is truly going on. as we're moving forward. It has everything to do with your communication and your self-love or self-lack of it. Now, the moon itself is going to be moving through Libra, Scorpio, and Sag, and that moon is having issues with everybody. There's a lot of very unpredictable energies coming out with that moon, and I say unpredictable because I don't read the astrology the way most astrologers do. I don't just follow the aspects that they teach. I read chain reactions. I read it the way Spirit pointed it out to me for me to learn and acknowledge it. And the chain reactions and the unpredictable energies are there to set you over the top, to move you in the right direction, but that has to do with how spiritually evolved are you? How spiritually mature are you? Are you learning the lesson, or we just keep beating you with a club over your head because you're not getting it? I don't mean to be negative. I'm just giving it to you the way they give it to me. And there's a lot of that. You've got Libra is the 7th house of relationships, and every sign has a good and a bad. With the moon coming through Libra, this is going to put emotional endeavors on all the relationships, as well as your relationship with yourself. How are you viewing things? Libra has a very bad problem with putting themselves last. They want to make everybody else happy. They are the sign of balance and the sign of justice. However, a lot of times they forget to put themselves on that scale. This is not the week here in the beginning to take yourself off of that scale. If you aren't on the scale, you're not getting a true balance of what is going on. You aren't the scale, Libra is. It's just telling you where your emotions are. Then it moves into Scorpio, making it way more intense. Way more intense. Scorpio is like a sexy Sherlock Holmes. I'm going to look for everything in the world that I can find, but you know what? At the same time, I'm a rabbit and I want to enjoy everything. I'm going to do everything I want. It's kind of like Vegas. I loved you yesterday. We're now in today. Scorpio is very watery in energy, but it finds fire right with the fire sign. And then it gets really into the emotions and picks. Scorpio energy can pick anything apart, even when there's nothing to pick apart. It can make it happen. But it also is one of the most divine water signs. And then moves into Sagittarius. The wildfire burns and just keeps on burning. So this week is a growth in energy. It is a growth of gaslighting, a growth of fire, a growth of the brush fire just coming into action. You're watching it begin. When we get into the actual blueprint, let me give it to you, because I'm always not sure how people take the blueprint when I talk about the blueprint. The way it was explained to me in a channeling with the Pleiades before was that I kind of tapped into the human programming. And that, because every human has the idea of humanity and our bodies has a specific programming from the first house to the 12th house, from the signs within us, from our body parts and so forth. And it's a programming that sets these chakras in or out into blockaging and so forth. It is also where illnesses can be created if you are not actually doing the work and spiritually evolving. It can make the vibration go up and it can make the vibration go down. Now, on an individual person, I tend to tap into their own specific coding on top of the original coding. So it's like I cipher the program that you are and help you to understand how to grow into more of a high vibrational by understanding your program better. Now, on a universal scale, when I'm doing the show here, I give you the universal program. You have Aries, right now, which still has Chiron in it. It does still have Eris in it. Just Medusa, trouble, toil, strife. This is the way I see it. But we're really focusing here on Chiron. Chiron's the wounded healer. That right there tells you a ton. The wounded healer in the first house in the freaking head. Meaning, I'm great at pointing out everything for everybody else. What was I just saying? Spirit was saying a whole lot of bitterness and blame and pointing fingers. I'm great at pointing it out for everybody else, but I'm not so great at seeing it for myself. I'm not so great at decoding my own program, at decoding my own bricks in the wall. Where it is that we're lacking taking the proper action because of our desires, because of our fears. Chiron, the wounded healer, who can't heal himself, is literally sitting on the two hemispheres of your feminine and your masculine. He's in balance. He's in balance, sending the communication through all parts of that brain, all parts of your receiver. But what are you choosing to receive? Freaking free will. Are you receiving the growth, the spiritual maturity, coming into your source energy, your soul energy, into that leader, stepping up into what this leader really is? I have said a million times, I want them to look back and go, I want our children's children to look back and go, they were the resistance, they were the giants, they are the reason they made these changes for us. But we have to be able to walk that fine line. We have to be those giants. We have to be those leaders now. That brings me back to Quasimodo. What was Esmeralda to Quasimodo? He looked up to her because she was the first person who actually gave him love, gave him kindness, gave him knowledge. Gave him, it's okay to be you, to experience your inner magic. The resistance, the gypsies were teaching this to him. This is saying, Spirit right there is saying that we're doing our job. Keep going. Chiron, the wounded healer, what are you looking at? Are you seeing where you have caused your own problems, where you're viewing things incorrectly? That it's the receivers of the eyes, the ears, the nose, the throat, how it's connecting all of that energy to all chakras and going down that zero point, going down your spinal column. It's very important this week that you are working on healing the wounded healer, not going back into that 12th house. You have Taurus, which has been like this all year, half of last year. You have the North Node, right on the cusp, getting ready to go into Aries. He's literally sitting on the throat energy, and he's about to move in by the end of the month, mid-month, July, like 11th, I think, somewhere right around there. He's moving into the head, the North Node. That's going to be some powerful stuff when that North Node hits Aries, because that is going directly into third eye and learning how to recalibrate your brain. Recalibrate and reactivate that third eye and that brain to work from that higher perspective. Why do you think you're going through so much crap right now? Because you've got to learn how to speak up. You've got to learn how to take the throat energy, and which is one of your life forces. We're moving it into actual activation on a whole new level than you've ever seen in your life, because of the way these energies are. You will never have Chiron still here and Eris still here. Telling you. But right now it's sitting in that throat. Again, speaking about how you're communicating. You have that Jupiter energy, which is on the jugular itself. And the nerves of this throat. The communication of the energies. Like I said, you were being targeted on a molecular level. Your DNA was being upgraded over this past week. This has to do with those nerves and everything. Like I said, there's so much going on behind the scenes that I don't have time to even talk about right here. You have Uranus, which is literally in the nose. Are you breathing in the change? Are you breathing in individuality? What are you breathing in? It's your daily activity, your mundane task. Breathing, speaking, your throat and your nose. It's not just about communication as far as outwardly. You have to breathe in just to keep yourself alive, and you have to exhale. Your nose and your mouth. Uranus, North Node, and Jupiter. The manifestation of what are you breathing into yourself? Are you breathing in, I am in my power? Are you breathing in affirmations of worthiness, of value, of I deserve? It's not just about speaking. It's about speaking to yourself. Like I said, before it starts to move into the head. And that's going to be a whole glorious new world. Then we come into Gemini. Gemini has Vista here, but like I said, Vista is just moving in. It's in the esophagus. What am I talking about? You have Mercury, which is moving out and into the ribs. The breastplate protecting the heart. Without the heart, there is no life force. The life force is filled with Venus, Mercury, Pallas, and Lilith. Strategic thinking, Athena the warrior goddess, Lilith, are you ever going to get into your fire? Are you ever? Your balance, masculine and feminine, your sensitivity, your action. This is us understanding our deepest hidden truths of our power and putting it into action. Learning how to take on these actions and moving forward. Hold on just a second. Hi, Mommy. Y'all know that I take care of my mom with her dementia and her heart issues, but she just walked in, so give me just a minute. Yes?
I accidentally lost the channel on the TV.
Okay, listen to me. You gonna go to bed then?
I'm going to go watch TV in my bedroom, get something on in there. I don't want to.
Okay, I don't have much more to go. If you go in and you lay down, when I'm all done, if you can't go straight to sleep, then I'll put the TV on for you. But since you think you're just going to go to bed anyway, you can't. And yeah, make sure you don't take my Pepsi to bed with you. You're not supposed to be drinking Pepsi. So get yourself a water. What is your flavored drink? Pepsi, you can't even drink that. Okay. And then we're coming into Libra, which is Cirrus. Not Sirius, Cirrus. I may be pronouncing it wrong. I probably have forever. But that's the way I say it. But Cirrus is one of the goddesses of creation, one of the goddesses of nurturing. She speaks to you about what you're nurturing and what you're neglecting. Here she's in your kidneys. She's directly targeting, are you nurturing yourself in the relationships that you put yourself in? That lower back pain, that sacral chakra, that inner security, not just sexual energy, inner security. We're dealing with inadequacy here. Where are we not comfortable in our skin? Where are we in denial about it? Where are we inferior to other situations? Where are we afraid? Because we've been in that security of insecurity within our own fears that we're not even acknowledging it's a problem. That's where sacral chakra issues really just stick their teeth in like a vampire. This is about developing healthy relationships with yourself and then outwardly. And then we get into the South Node, which is, right here on the sexual organs, literally rebirth. This is what we're doing. We are rebirthing in the biggest way that we've ever rebirthed. And we're not about to stop. So even though you're feeling shadow work, we're actually past it. We're coming through a true dark night of soul. Like a planetary dark night of soul. Spirit started telling me, and they wanted me to remind you while I'm doing the show tonight. For those of you who've been following me for a really long time, I've been seeing for quite a while now that we technically were in like the dark ages, or how a lot of people like to look at the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages. There's the Golden Ages, the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages. And we look back at the horrific things that happened during the Dark and the Middle Ages. Spirit's like, don't you get it? You're coming out of the Middle Ages. You're coming out of that whole dark age. We're reawakening. The only reason you don't call yourself that is you think that they called themselves the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages. You don't notice it because you're part of it. When we look back, that's why I said your children's children are going to be like, those were the giants that made the change. Because this is a form of the Dark Ages that we're making these changes. But this is also why it is so drastically important that we learn how to be the proper leaders. And understand how to walk that walk and talk that talk and be those gypsies and to be that resistance. But we have to know ourselves. And we have to know which ones of us are real and which ones are decoys. You still have that Saturn energy and that Neptune energy, which are going to be together for the next year and a half, maybe even more. And those are just coming closer and closer together. That is, again, the borderlines of your grief, sorrow, shame, blame, insecurities, pointing the fingers. This is in the feet itself. It is some of the most malice of energy. It is where I will steal just to steal because I can, because you owe me. It is where the murderous becomes the murderous, where they've been pushed too far. This is the worst of our human egos. And where it is, we put ourselves here because we created the wall. We're ripping that bitch down. As we come back into that Pluto energy, moving back into Capricorn, you also have it coming into those knees again. Remember, Capricorn speaks to you about your structure. About the knees help you to bob up and down, to sit, to walk, to run. They have to be flexible. Is there flexibility going on here within yourself? Not to mention that knee pain can come from the feet. You have to bless it. Every story has always told you methodically through time. Even in the Bible, Jesus blesses the feet. Or there's the stories of the feet being blessed. I think Jesus is blessing someone else's feet instead of having his blessed. Your feet are responsible for walking you to every place you go, good or bad. Everything you put yourself in, these energies can represent so much more of your lower caliber, your lower vibrations, your lower character. And acknowledging these are incredibly important right now. Because how are you going to ever really be high vibrational if you can't even acknowledge your low vibrations? If you can't acknowledge your denial? That's why Spirit has said from those mainstream 7 chakras are no longer suffice. You need to learn all of them, and you cannot keep building a root chakra on low vibrations of low chakras. You have what, I believe 7 from the hips down that are all about lack of consciousness, all about conscience, lack of it. Not giving a crap. This is all about me. If you keep building You're a strong root chakra on top of a crappy bottom half of your frame. Your foundation will cave again and again and again. This is why it is no longer suffice. You have got to work through those energies. As we get into the actual week, I did this week different than I do normally. Because normally I give you like the positives, the negatives, or I give you the challenges, the sextiles, the trines. I didn't see any of that this week. When I'm looking at the chart, like I said, I was taught astrology basically by spirit, the way spirit had me learn it, view it, see it. Then I went back and learned how humans talk about astrology, the different aspects. And I got some funky chain reactions, but they're powerful. Hold on. Uranus in the second house is directly having a communication with Juno, the Sun, and Mercury. Mercury's passing them, coming right in and passing them this week. So this is coming out of the third house, going directly into the fourth house, where the Sun is, where Juno is. Sacrificing commitment is what Juno is. In the fourth house, inner emotional security. This is the home. The vessel is pure and will. The vessel, the soul, the source energy of you is pure, will last forever. But at the moment, it's in a vessel. This is its home right now. You can never lose you, but you can misplace you. You can not be secure in yourself. This is part of coming into that inner source and power and acknowledging where we're ripping these bricks out, where we're rebuilding our pioneering energy. The Sun is illuminating what's going to make you uncomfortable and what makes you comfortable and why. What is the root to you? And how is that making not just the home three-dimensionally, but this home, both of them? How are you connecting that energy? And it is speaking to you about your communication and the sacrifice and commitment it takes, speaking directly to that Uranus energy, standing in your power, or where are you not in that power? Where have someone else manipulated and pushed you around? I've told you, with Uranus being in Taurus, it is either you're in your power or someone or something else is. It's that simple. It's one of the two. It's not if or maybe. It's either you're in your power or you've given it somebody else. This is where battering energy comes from. This is where, the husbands and the wives that fight. This is where the beatings come from. This is the negative. You are mine. Insecurity. This energy is having a major connection with your life force 5. 5 is the 5th house. It is the heart. It is Leo. But it's your actual life force. It is how much pressure do you have on your heart? Your heart is also your experience of life, your enjoyment of life. It is where your hobbies allow you to live out the idea. This is where, sports people become athletes. This is where the singer actually becomes the singer. This is where the band develops and becomes and gets signed. Or where it gets manipulated because you never get to have time to do anything you want. The 5th house is the creator of the expression of the fun, of the enjoyment of life. And is your heart getting it? Or is it being weighed down with everything else it has to do for everybody else? When are you going to choose you? That's what this is about. And will you? You have that same Mars, Lilith, Venus, Pallas, 5th house, Leo, is having a conversation with the Chiron in your head. wounded healer. Will you look out and see that you are the master creator and change it? It's time to step back into that power. Yes, we've had a lot of negativity. Yes, we've had a lot of this. But are you going to pick up your big girl panties, or however you want to put it, and be like, you know what? I'm the master creator. I got some work to do. I kind of got behind some of that. No. Or are you going to look out and go, this is where I can't, because I still believe in that brick wall. Just another brick in the wall. Maximum exposure. And then that Chiron energy is speaking to Neptune. So it can take you to the character and start you right back over with, let me create all over again the same problem. Or let me really step in my heart space, in my soul space, in my source space, and realize I am the master creator, and all I gotta do is believe in me, love me, give me the time, pat myself on the back, and do it. That's a glorious power, to know that you can get up and make these changes, even if it's just little steps at a time. Little steps turn into big steps. You have that Sun, that Juno, and that Mercury, and that inner emotional security of that 4th house, which is having a positive energy with that Saturn. Those borderlines. Where are we picking up our boundaries, and we're just restructuring them to make our lives better? Does it give us the boost of magic we need? But for real, that's the key here. With Saturn and Neptune being here in Pisces, that 12th house, it has to be for real. You can't dream it and not put any energy into it. This is where you have to land it in 3D. If you don't land it in 3D, the dream will stay a dream. Fantasy will smack you in the face with harsh ass reality, but you can land it right now. This is a trine energy. This is your inner emotional security can land that ability to shift those boundaries, but you've got to back them with 3-dimensional reality and actually back it up. Stand in your This is when you put your foot down and you put your foot down and you keep it put down. I'm not going to budge. You have it not getting along with that Neptune energy. This is why I'm saying it the way I am. It's not getting along with the Neptune because it'd be easier to stay in your comfort zone. It'd be easier to not change because I already know at least what funky crap I got going on here. I know I may not be the happiest in my inner emotional security, and I'm not living the best life I would like to live, but at least I know what I got. I'm not losing anything. No, that's not what you want. That's that hive mind. That's staying behind the wall. Maximum exposure is coming down. You are the light. But you have to give Saturn that 3D reality in order to make that happen. It is having very unpredictable energy, that Sun, that Juno, and that Mercury. That inner communication, that inner sacrificing commitment, that inner illumination of creating inner emotional security. Is speaking with Pluto in that 10th house. That's the authority of the outer world. If you're afraid to stand up and say what you want, create what you want, well, you're never going to get it. Pluto is death, decay, and destruction for renewal, rebirth, and regeneration. This is back to the 12th house. Back to the 10th house, where we've been looking at crap for the last 30 years of what is, no. This world cannot stay this way, cannot continue to go in this direction. We have to put our foot down. We must be the giants now. This is, though I walk through the shadow of death, I have no fear. Security inner emotional security, sacrifice and commitment, communication with your own inner emotional security. I can do this. I will do this. I am. But if you don't believe it, then, well, you're not. Pluto is having no happy conversation with that North Node on that throat energy, making it a little hard to stand up, shy away, making it challenging. It is the 10th house. This is speaking up to your working environment, your social committee, to the outer authorities of the world, and saying, no, I'm not going to tolerate this. It's not going to happen the way you think anymore. For a lot of people, that's intimidating. That's inferiority. Being inferior. Making them stay in their inadequacy, making them feel uncomfortable. And like I said, what was I showed? I said it was the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Are you gonna be the Hunchback? Are you gonna be like the man that came into the shop today? The brightest thing I've seen in a long ass time. Reminded me, if he could be in his power, why can't all of you? You've got Saturn, which is Saturn, Jupiter, and the Sun are all having very unpredictable energies. They're also talking to Uranus. So this is the 12th house, the borderline, the deal breakers, the bricks in the wall. Where are we allowing these deals to continue? Speaking right to that second house, independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, manifestation, Jupiter, abundantly. If you're in your on, I'm on in my self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, and my power, you're going to be on. Anything Jupiter touches, he amplifies with. And if you're not on, well, you're off. Anything Jupiter touches, he amplifies. He's amplifying it to help you know if you're going in the right direction. I was born with Jupiter in retrograde. I know how to damn myself. Trust me. These are some of the things that you learn. Jupiter is giving you a very heads up of what direction you're going. It is speaking directly to that Sun and inner emotional security, illuminating the truth of it. The Sun is not always ego. It is the shine. It says what the world sees, what you are, and where you're going. Where's that vibration going? Up or down? And then it's going back over to Uranus, close to Jupiter. You're either on or you're off. You need to know which one and see exactly all parts of that as we go through this week. And then you have Chiron, again, which is not getting along with Saturn. The wounded healer, staying in his comfort zone. At least I know what I've got. No. But he's getting along great with that 5th house. Your inner source, your inner fire, your inner creation. This is your love area. This is your tribe area. This is your experience energy. This is your inner fire, your source. Masculine, feminine, Pallas, Lilith. All of it is jammed up in there right now. It also has to do with why your heart might be giving you a hard time. It's telling you if it's too heavy. How much are you taking on that you're not supposed to be? It is speaking directly with Chiron. Are you still enabling? That's pretty much where I'm ending. Evaluate the situations. Are you enabling yourself and others because of love? And it's not working? Because that's not truly what love is about. We have to grow. Which means sometimes things do have to hurt in order for you to get uncomfortable enough to change. I love you guys. Also, if you've made it this far into the show, I was supposed to be doing a show with Rob Gauthier, and I will be doing it. We are rescheduling. There was some situations, and so we just did not do it last week, but we will be rescheduling. Just stay posted, and you will find out. I haven't found out myself yet, but you will find out when we find out. I love you, and I will see you later. Bye.